Hello everyone, I'm Gary Hibbitt. I'm here to read a story to you today, the Trombone Shorty. But before I do that, just let me tell you a little about myself. I'm originally from Ypsilanti. I went to Perry School and to Erickson Elementary School, and I now reside in Nashville, Tennessee, 8 hours away from Ypsilanti. So now I'm ready to read the story. Trombone Shorty by Troy Trombone Shorty Andrews. Trombone Shorty. Where you at? Where you at? We have our own way of living down here in New Orleans, and our own way to talk too. And that's what I like to say when we want to tell a friend hello. So where y'all at? Lots of kids have nicknames, but I want to tell you the story of how I got mine. Just like when you listen to your favorite song, let's start at the beginning, because this is a story about music. Before you can understand how much music means to me, you have to know how important it is to my hometown. My greatest inspiration. I grew up in a neighborhood in New Orleans called Trombone. Is that how you pronounce it?
I would say so.
I'm sorry. Any time of the day or night, you can hear music floating in the air. And where there was music in my house too, my big brother James played the trumpet so loud you could hear him halfway across town. And he was the leader of his own band. And my friends and I would pretend to be in the band too. Follow me, James would say. There's one time every year that's more exciting than the other. Mardi Gras. Parades fill the streets and beaded necklaces are thrown through the air to the crowd. I love the brass band. With their own trumpets, trombones, saxophone, and biggest brass instruments of them all, the tuba, which rested all the musicians' head like an elephant's trunk. Where you at? Where you at? The musicians would call. All day long, I could see brass bands parades by my house while my neighbors danced along. I love these parades during Mardi Gras because they made everyone forget about their troubles for a little while. And people don't have a lot of money in Treme, but we always have a lot of music. I listen to all these sounds and mix them together, just like how we make our food. We take one big pot, throw in a sausage, crab, shrimp, chicken, vegetables, rice, whatever's in the kitchen, and stir it and all together and let it cook. And when it's done, it's the most delicious taste you've ever tried. We call it gumbo, and that's what I wanted my music to sound like. Different styles combined to create my own musical gumbo.
I love that.
But first, I need an instrument. The great thing about music is I don't even need a real instrument to play. So my friends and I decided to make our own. We might have sounded different from the real brass bands, but we felt like the greatest musicians of Treme. We were making music, and that's all that mattered. Then one day I found a broken trombone that looked too beaten up to make music anymore. It didn't sound perfect, but finally, with a real instrument in my hand, I was ready to play. The next time the parade went by my house, I grabbed that trombone and headed into the street. My brother James noticed me playing along and smiled proudly. Trombone Shorty, he called out, because that's the instrument was twice my size. Where you at? From the day on, everyone called me Trombone Shorty. I took that trombone everywhere I went and never stopped playing it. I was so small that sometimes I fell right over to the ground because it was so heavy. But when I got back up, I learned how to hold it up high. I listened to my brothers play songs over and over, and I taught myself those songs too. I practiced all day and night, and sometimes I fell asleep with the trombone in my hand. One day, Mom surprised me with a ticket to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, the biggest and the best music festival in town. We went to see Bo Diddley, who my mom said was one of the most important musicians of all time. As I watched him on stage, I raised my trombone to my lips and started to play along. He stopped his band in the middle of the song and asked the crowd, "Who's that playing out there?" Everyone started pointing, but Bo Diddley couldn't see me because I was the smallest one in the place. So my mom held me up in the air and said, "That's my son, Trombone Shorty." "Well, Trombone Shorty, come on up here," Bo Diddley said. The crowd passed me overhead until I was standing on stage next to Bo Diddley himself. I walked right up to the microphone. I held my trombone high, up in the air, and ready to blow. "What do you want to play?" Bo Diddley asked. "Follow me," I said. After I played with Bo Diddley, I knew I was ready for my own band. I got my friends together. We called ourselves 5 O'Clock Band because that was the time we went out to play each day after we finished our homework. We played all around New Orleans. I practiced, and soon my brother James asked me to join his band. When people wonder who the kid in the band was, he proudly said, "That's my little brother, Trombone Shorty. Where you at?" And now I have my own band called Trombone Shorty and New Orleans Avenue, named after the street in Trombone, and I played all around the world. But I've also come back to New Orleans, and when I'm home, I make sure to keep my eyes on the younger musicians in town and help them out, just like my brother did for me. Today, I play at the same New Orleans Jazz Festival where I once played with Bo Diddley. And when the performance ends, I lead a parade of musicians around, just like I used to do in the streets of Treme with my friends. "Where you at? Where you at?" I still keep my trombone in my hand, and I'll never let it go. The end. These are actually pictures of Shorty, Trombone Shorty, and Bo Diddley.